Mm-hmm. Just looking to see now. It's just coming up. It's coming live on YouTube, but still haven't got the on-air sign yet. Here we go. Even everyone, Lewis Smith here of MMA UK, coming at you with our 6th episode of the MMA UK Show. Joining me tonight will be my esteemed colleague, Chris Emmanuel. Chris, how are you this evening, sir?
Yeah, really good tonight. Thanks, Lewis. How are you?
I'm well, buddy. All the better for seeing you. We've been a while since we've done one of these together, so nice to get back on together and talking some crap about MMA, isn't it?
Dream team back together, isn't it?
Dream team, yeah. So just to give the guys a rundown of what we got going on tonight, we're going to be doing, first of all, we got 15 minutes space, so we're going to just be talking a little bit about what went down this weekend with UFC Brooklyn. Then we're going to be spending the rest of the, however long we take, talking about Almighty Fighting Championship 11, which is going to be going down on the 23rd of March in the O2 in Leeds. So quite a lot to get through tonight. Obviously, you can watch this on YouTube, Facebook Live, Periscope, and even Apple Podcasts, I believe now. So if you are watching us on any of those, really appreciate it. Any comments for people, anybody watching on Facebook Live as well, drop them comments down below. And Chris, myself, and our guests that come on will be happy to answer them. But first things first, Chris, obviously, big card went down this weekend, UFC in Brooklyn. Obviously, that was headlined by TJ Dillashaw and current flyweight champion Henry Cejudo for his flyweight belt. Cejudo obviously got the win, knocked out TJ Dillashaw in, I think, 32 seconds. What was your thoughts on the fight, first of all, and what did you think about the way those two guys looked?
Well, TJ spent the entire month of January looking like Christian Bale from The Machinist. All the way through, TJ's always quite lean anyway as a bantamweight. He always comes in looking ripped. So how he was going to make 125 was something that I always questioned. Yeah. Now, I'm a huge TJ Dillashaw fan, but I had a moment of inspiration a couple of days beforehand. I put a bet on Henry Cejudo because I thought if Cejudo's going to win, it's going to be a first-round vicious knockout because he's got power in his hands, that guy. And if TJ struggles with the weight cut, then he's going to have absolutely no water around his brain. It's going to be easy to knock out. Lo and behold, 32 seconds in, TJ came out. He came out completely overhyped. He looked the more confident of the two. If anything, Cejudo looked a little bit apprehensive as he walked out to the cage. Mm-hmm. So TJ came out all guns blazing, and he looked okay. He still looked a little bit drawn around his face, but nowhere near as bad as I thought. So he rehydrated quite well, but you just can't make those types of cuts. You physically can't make those types of cuts. And as we've seen with the last 4 champ fights, the smaller guy wins. You need to be able to fight at your optimum weight. And TJ really, really struggled with that. At 135, I think TJ runs through and absolutely destroys Cejudo because skill set wise, whilst Cejudo is Olympian, he's got Olympic level wrestling, he's 5'4". He's never going to get near TJ Dillashaw. He's just going to bounce around and just pop him apart. But at 125, he's clearly struggled with that cut and got knocked out as a result. What did you think about the stoppage? Because there's been a lot of question marks around that.
So that's what I was going to come to next. I personally thought it was a good stoppage. I think, first of all, the stoppage in its own right was okay because, we all know what it's like with the UFC. With any MMA. Once you get dropped, you're taking unanswered shots. The ref is always there. It's a chance he's going to step in, whether it's a little too early, a little too late. The ref is always there, to step in and stop guys from getting hurt. So I didn't have a problem with the stoppage. I think a big factor it was as well, what you were just saying about the weight cut. The referee, he's hearing the same things as us all the week in the build-up. How ill TJ looks. How is he going to make this weight? How is he going to survive when he takes punches at this weight class? And lo and behold, like you said, first thing he came out and he got pushed over, which from the off he didn't look that steady on his legs. Just a push from Henry and he went down, straight back up, then he gets dropped. So I think that's probably in the ref's mind is that, hold on, he's been pushed over, he's been dropped twice. Let's get this finished. I think perhaps the ref was thinking, and maybe that wasn't such a bad thing because you don't know what was going on in TJ's body. He definitely didn't look like the TJ we saw to get dropped that easy. I mean, we've seen him drop before, but look how quickly he's recovered in the past. So I don't know. I think it was a good stoppage, but I can see why people would have liked to see it go a few seconds longer as well. So I guess that's me sitting completely on the fence. But no, I'll say it was a good stoppage for me.
I'm with you on that then, because I was going to say I'll be controversial because I think it's a really good stoppage.
Yeah.
There are 14 unanswered shots. After the head kick and he went down and he grasped for a single leg. That was just a natural, instinctive reaction. You could see his eyes were completely glazed over. The guy was struggling. He was all over the place, and Cejudo was just on him like a rash. So it was a really good stop. And I was so disappointed afterwards when he saw the presser and Dana White was talking about Kevin McDonald. So Kevin McDonald's refed how many UFC events? Ridiculous amounts. Not just UFC, he's refed for Bellator, he's refed for so many major promotions. He is one of the elite level referees about globally. So for Dana White to turn around and say that the New York State Athletic Commission shouldn't be appointing regional refs, I thought was really disingenuous and completely unnecessary, because the referee just made the right call. As we all know, we speak to decent refs all the time. I get on really well with Dan Mulvahady, who's a real proponent of this. He always says that the fighter's safety is paramount.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter about anything else. You don't care about the people who are in attendance. You don't care about the fighter's ego. It's the fighter's safety. That's what you're in there for. And TJ can actually live to fight another day now. His ego's been bruised, but fortunately his brain won't have been as bruised as it could have been if he'd taken 5 or 6 more unanswered shots. So
for me, I always think it's better to give the referee the benefit of the doubt in those situations. Like I said, I can see maybe it could have gone on 1 or 2 seconds longer, but all that was going to happen, he's going to take a few more shots. And, the thing is, in those situations as well, with top-class fighters like Henry Cejudo, not only are they landing good shots, but he's selling that stoppage to the ref as well. He's swarming on him, he's giving the ref every chance to stop it. So, like I said, when it gets to those kind of positions, although a lot of TJ Dillashaw fans, I would imagine, will want to see it go on longer, and TJ Dillashaw himself, I think it's better to give the benefit of the doubt to the refs. And like I said, for me, if it hadn't been mentioned in the post-fight, I wouldn't have said, it was a controversial stoppage at all. So I was happy with it. And as for the refs, like you said, I don't think it's ever good to blame the ref, is it? You get dropped twice, you only got yourself to blame. And, people saying about the weight cut as well, myself included, but let's be honest, Henry Cejudo caught him with a great shot. The same thing could have happened if they fought up at 135 pounds. So it wasn't TJ's night. Great night for Henry. And what do you think's next for these guys now, Chris? Do they fight again at 125 or do they fight again? Well, they fight again at 135?
Well, it depends. Henry Cejudo afterwards called himself, he alluded to being the saviour of the flyweight division when interviewed afterwards. But let's be honest, Henry Cejudo is only interested in getting paid.
Yeah.
Which he should be. He's only in there. He's in there for himself. He's the person putting in the effort in. He's the person putting in the grind. He should be paid for being the very best in the world at his weight class. I still think the UFC are going to cut the 125 weight class. Dana was clearly fuming because he'd sent TGN to do a hatchet job just to kill the weight division off.
Yeah, definitely.
And it failed miserably. But the 125 division doesn't have the same level of gravitas and the same level of stars as the other divisions in the UFC. And as I said before in this podcast, the UFC is clearly there as a private equity company. It's not there to be the number one promotion in the sport at the moment. So they're only looking at the cost, and the cost of the 125 division far outweighs the benefits of it at the moment for them, which is a shame from a purely sporting perspective. But from a business perspective, you can understand their logic. So I think that Cejudo is going to spend a little bit of time negotiating another contract now. Mm-hmm. It'd be interesting to see if TJ has a bit of time out to recover, because he still needs to build his body back up again to actually get back to his 135 fighting level anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
It could take him a good, 4 or 5 months?
Easily, so, I would say.
And there's still plenty of people bouncing around at 135 who are in a position to realistically call for a title shot. TJ's still got a history with Assunção. You've got people like Jimmy Rivera, Aljamain Sterling bouncing around.
Cruz.
Of course, yeah. There's a whole heap of names that are deserving of a title shot. So I'm hoping that they don't hold the division up for the potential Cejudo versus TJ rubber match. They can do that easily at a later date. I think TJ still runs through everyone else at 135. He's that good. So Cejudo, once he's got the contract that he wants, can come back in and start making the right noises and challenge TJ further down the line after TJ's had maybe one title defense.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously a lot of options there for both guys, really. Both still champions, and a really exciting matchup that was, and something we'll look forward to again, I think. just briefly, Chris, we'll touch on the co-main event. We haven't got much time before we get our first guest on, but co-main event, obviously we saw Greg Hardy, the very controversial figure, Greg Hardy, make his UFC debut against Alan Crowder. Obviously, he got lost by a DQ disqualification for kneeing Crowder to the face. First of all, just briefly, what was your thoughts on the fight and your thoughts on Greg Hardy overall, really?
Okay, I'm not a fan of Greg Hardy. I think he's a horrible human being. Regardless of whether he's been convicted or not in a federal court, he clearly did sorry, Peter, I'm just going to completely drop to your website in it. He did what he's accused of, and he's shown absolutely no remorse whatsoever, and that just is the measure of the man. Realistically, the crowd were completely against Greg Hardy as well. I was against Greg Hardy as well. I was happy to see him lose. Now, he came out at 100 miles an hour. He looked very much like a fighter and only fought three times previously. He just wanted to go in, smash the guy quickly, and get back out again. Crowd was smart to that. He weathered the early storm first of all. You could see in between the first and second rounds, Crowder looked relatively fresh, whereas Greg Hardy was blowing out of his ass. He was really struggling to contain his breath. As he came back out for the second, you could see he wanted to put Crowder away quickly again because he was running out of gas. I don't know whether it was the energy expended in the first round or the occasion getting to him, or even the combination of the two. But either way, it wasn't looking good for him. Crowder then just played an absolute blinder by starting to badmouth him. And as soon as he started chucking the Diaz-style shade at him, you could see that Hardy was just completely lost control. A professional fighter should never lose control like that. So he threw the knee at the head. I don't actually think the knee connected. I watched replay after replay. Crowder put his hand up. It looked like the knee hit the hand, and the hand didn't hit his head. But regardless of that, there was a split second before Greg Hardy threw the knee where he hesitated and then made the conscious decision to throw the knee because he lost control of his emotion. So regardless of whether Crowder played a smart one and he fell over, and as soon as he heard Dan Mergliotta, who clearly hated Greg Hardy as well, say, I'm going to disqualify him if the guy can't get back up. Even if he heard that and thought, I'm not going to get back up, I'm just going to take the victory. I'm going to be the good guy for the day. That's fine. At the end of the day, Greg Hardy shouldn't have thrown the illegal knee. It was completely wrong, and he deserved to be disqualified for it and deal with the fallout. But afterwards, yet again, Dana White was so positive about Greg Hardy, and okay, I can understand he had, from a business perspective, he has certain people that he wants to win the fights. But come on, you've got to be impartial when you're the president of the organization. You have to have a degree of professionalism. And the way that he responded, making excuses for Hardy. If he's only 3-0 and he's not used to the big lights, why are you making him co-main event if you're co-main of your event when you've got people like Donald Cerrone on the card? You've got even Dennis Bermudez on the card. Joe Benavidez versus Dustin Ortiz. Probably the best fight of the card for me.
A very good fight that was, yeah.
Yeah, that could have been co-main event, and I would have been happy with that. But if Greg Hardy's not up to it, don't make him co-main event. Yeah. But if you do make him co-main event, don't make excuses for him when he's acting like a prat.
No, I agree with what you say about that. One thing I will say, not in Hardy's defense, but in a positive note about Hardy, for his third fight, I actually thought he, like Dana White said, he could fight, and that was something that, I won't say it's positive or negative, but he lost the fight fair and square. He should have been disqualified. But there was definitely signs that, he can win some fights in the UFC in the future. So should he have been co-main event? Probably not. He doesn't have the pedigree of that yet. But I think given the star power he has and getting put in that position, I think, as a fighter, there is potential for him. When it comes to the knee, 100% disqualification. Was intentional or not? I don't know. I mean, I can see what you're saying about that moment he made that decision, but a lot of it, I think, could have been tiredness. I really don't know. So it's one of those things we'll never know. Is he good for the UFC as well? Another question. I don't know. With his reputation and everything, is he good to have in the sport at all for the UFC? I don't know what your thoughts on that. Well, I know what your thoughts on that are going to be, actually, Chris. So I'm not even going to ask it.
No, it would be good for the sport if he showed a modicum of remorse for his actions. It's not, and that's not just as a sportsman. As a man, he should show remorse for his actions. Everyone can make mistakes, regardless of how heinous those mistakes are. You should be able to come back from those mistakes if you actually try to rectify them. But he's made no attempt to whatsoever. He's just shunted the blame onto someone else. And it just looks to me very much like he's the type of person who got too much too young. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 17 years old.
Yeah, very young, wasn't he?
Yeah, and like you said, in terms of a fighter, if you can take away all the crap, I sound so hypocritical now because I'm a John Jones fan and I can take away all the crap about him. But you take away all the crap from Greg Hardy, that explosiveness and that power at heavyweight is really exciting to watch as an MMA fan. But it's just the nonsense that surrounds him, where he makes no effort to actually rectify it. It winds me up. Yeah. It really winds me up.
Peter Knox is just commenting saying MMA UK take no responsibility for Chris's opinion. So I just want to put that out there for everyone listening.
Peter told me to say it.
Yeah. So just having a quick look through the comments. Just for guys watching now, we're going to be moving on to the next part of our show. Unfortunately, we don't have any more time to talk about the UFC this evening, although we'd like to go into some other great fights, as Chris said. Joe Benavidez, Cowboy Cerrone had a great fight as well. So definitely good fights we would like to talk about. Maybe if we get a bit of time at the end, we will come back to us this moves us on to the next point of our show now. Any minute, we are expecting to get Dan Gibbon in. Dan is obviously going to be fighting on the Almighty Fighting Championship. That's coming up on 23rd of March in Leeds. We've got a whole bunch of guys coming on for this show tonight who's going to be on their event, as well as obviously the head honcho, Ray Thomson. So hopefully we're going to get Dan in soon. Any guys watching that are fans of Dan, please chuck down some questions. We'll go through them as well as asking him our own. And should be a good show tonight with these guys from Almighty. And obviously nice to see these kind of local promotions springing up as well, Chris, isn't it, as always?
Yeah, definitely. Almighty's a great show. I was really lucky that Steve and Ray invited me to their first ever show. And I covered it for an outlet that's no longer about anymore. Watching the evolution of this show's been fantastic. The sports needed this type of show, and certainly the North has as well. The North's been crying out for this type of event, and I'm sure we're going to get into it with Ray later on when he runs through his timeline. But it's an impressive job that him and Steve have done so far.
So yeah, we're looking forward to getting all these guys on. Dan, if you are watching, mate, join us because obviously we've got a limited time slot and we want to get through as many questions as we can with you. Also, we've got coming on later George Smith, who is going to be facing Marvin Bednarz. Bednarz, sorry if I've got that wrong. We've also got Ray Thomson, as we just said. And then lastly, we're going to be talking to two fighters who are actually opposing each other, and they are Craig Skelton and Warren Mason. We've got a few guys off this show. Nice to talk about something different other than the UFC sometimes as well. You know, mix it up, Chris, isn't it, with the big guns as well as the local ones. It's always nice to do that, I think.
Yeah, we've got a thriving scene in the UK, so the opportunity to speak to some of the fighters is something we should never pass up. I don't think other shows should pass up either. So it's not just about the big shows coming here, the Bellator Europe, your Cage Warriors. It's about the up-and-coming shows who are improving event on event, such as Almighty Fighting Championships. So, well, whilst we're waiting for Dan to come on, we do have another question, actually. So from our own Katie Hunter, who's suffering from throat issues today, bless her.
Evening, Katie Hunter.
And she's asked, if not TJ, who will Cejudo fight next, and who'd be next for TJ? Who do you think? I
think Benavidez after that performance on the weekend. Really good fight, really exciting fight, and he's beaten him before as well. So I think that's a ready-made match there if it's not the TJ fight next.
Okay, who would you say next for TJ?
Oh, so I'm just trying to think. I mean, you could see. I don't know if Cruz has done enough to really deserve a title shot straight away because he's been out for a while, hasn't he? But I don't know. I think he's going to win that Cejudo fight because he lost. You know, I think that's all that's going to be on his mind now. So I don't know. I think that will be the fight that happens next, to be honest. So I don't really know other than that. You've got who else did the guy that TJ beat, Asuncao. He's looking quite strong. So there's options, but I think he's going to win that Cejudo fight.
I quite like the Asuncao fight. I don't know whether Dana would put it on because I don't think it carries enough star power. It certainly wouldn't be the top of the card. It wouldn't be it certainly wouldn't be able to headline in the same way as the Cejudo one did, or even another Cody Garbrandt one. But there's certainly a narrative still there, so it'd be good to see.
1-1 as well, and they fought twice, got one each, so it's definitely the story is there. But I just don't know if Assunção's got that star power to, like you say, headline an event, or I don't know. I don't really know if anyone's sort of huge fans of Assunção. I would imagine he has got big support.
In Brazil, maybe.
In Brazil, but in the UK, he's a relatively unknown figure, and unless you're sort of a hardcore fan, I would think.
One thing that I did notice on the card, it's unfortunate, but I can understand it, was the retirement of Dennis Bermudez after his win against T. Edwards. Yeah. That's a shame. This guy, he went through an absolute tear earlier on in his career. He beat Max Holloway, beat Jimmy Rivera early in their careers as well. But then he lost to, he had a 4-fight slide before T. Edwards, but during which he lost to Darren Elkins, didn't he? The guy with the worst tattoo in MMA.
Oh, yeah.
He lost to the Korean Zombie, previous losses against people like Tachi Fili, Ricardo Lamas, Jeremy Stevens. So
didn't he get KO'd by Felder as well? Spinning back fist?
Was that him?
I'm sure it was. I might be making that up. I'm sure he got KO'd by spinning back fist of Felder. But we might have to check that one up back.
Yeah. Well, he's been a stalwart in the UFC 145 division. So it's a shame to see him go, but it's good to see. It's actually really nice to see a fighter make a positive move and go out on a win, because so many fighters they've got this huge competitive to get to that pinnacle of your career. You've got to have such a ridiculous competitive urge. So after 4 losses on the spin, to actually get a win, so many fighters would turn around and say, "Oh, I've got it back now. I'm all right. I can fight again." But he's sensible enough to make the decision to say, "No, enough's enough. I'm going to walk away." And he's walking away with what sense he has left.
Yeah, and he's walking away with his head held high, because he has, although he never got a title, he had a great career at the top of the sport. So I think, like you said, it's nice to see guys going out on their own terms, going out with a victory under his belt. Another guy who did that I really like was Uriah Faber. He probably could have gone another few years, but he wasn't at his optimum. He's achieved everything I think he could have achieved, and left the sport on their own terms. I think that's always a good thing. You don't want to see guys. The one thing I hate now is when you see guys like Chuck Liddell again, like nowhere near their prime, nowhere near their full force, just getting smashed basically. It's not nice to see as fans, because you have that kind of respect and those memories, and it kind of ruins it a little bit. I think when you see him getting back in and just fighting needlessly, really. So yeah, hopefully he's made the right move, and he's set himself up for retirement from the sport, and he's got other options to go into. And yeah, all the best of luck to him.
Indeed, yeah. So any sign of Dan yet? Is Dan coming on the line?
So we've got comments saying that he's having some issues with the link, which I'm looking at. Ray Thomson's put that on. So yeah, I'm just looking at the time now. It's 23 minutes past. So hopefully, if he comes on, we may have to get him on for a very brief chat. But other than that, it may have to be arranged for another night, I'm afraid. But hopefully, we might get you on now for a couple of minutes. And
well, if you can't make it in time, there is another comment here for you. Pete would like to see your 6-pack.
Yeah, I'm going to block Pete from these comments. I'm going to find a way. or get a 6-pack. That's my only other option, isn't it?
Did you notice that Save Northcutt didn't reply when I said that on Twitter? No. He knew.
Scared. He's scared. He knew. He didn't want me to get it out. So fair play to Sage, But again, big shout out to Sage Northcutt for coming on for us last week, because he's actually a really good guest, a really funny guy, and really looking forward to seeing him fight in one championship, actually.
It'll be really neat.
Chris, how about you get your 6-pack out as well then? What if we switch that up?
Unfortunately, mine's well covered up. I'm too cold tonight, so I can show you my MMA t-shirt if you like. I'm trying to make sure that every time I make an appearance, I have a different MMA t-shirt on. So
okay, what have you got tonight?
Tonight's my Battle Arena t-shirt.
Battle Arena. That's not so bad. I'll have to get me one of those, Chris.
I can organise it. I know a guy.
Yeah. Get me one of those, and I'll start wearing some MMA t-shirts as well. I'm still waiting for my MMA UK t-shirt from Peter Knox. So that's another thing we got to start chasing up. Steve Brigg, we haven't seen Steve Brigg on any of these for a while. Obviously he's had a few kids, but he used to have the hoodies, the t-shirts, the complete work. So obviously clear to see who Peter Knox's favorite is. And for people watching who don't know who Peter Knox is the owner of MMA UK. So if you want free t-shirts, get him on Facebook.
It's got some snapbacks as well, supposedly.
Here you go.
Here he is, Mr. Gibbon.
Mr. Gibbon, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, all good, buddy. So had a bit of difficulties getting in, but nice to get you in. First of all, you've got obviously a fight coming up on Almighty Fighting Championship. How's your preparation going for this one, and how are you feeling about getting into the fight?
Well, I'm looking forward to this. It's a big test for me. This guy's an undefeated prospect, so I'm taking it very seriously. I mean, I take all my fights seriously, but this is my toughest test to date, probably. He's training out of one of the top clubs in the country. There's a lot riding on this for me, and yeah, I want to be tested, so it's perfect.
Yeah, I think his pro record at the moment is 3-0. You've got quite much bigger record than him. I think you're 6-11, is it?
Yeah, 8-11 is my official record. Yeah,
8-11.
Caught a couple of them, but yes, yeah. I mean, I've been around the game for quite a few years, and it seems like I'm going to get these young prospects. I mean, I'm a bit of a veteran, so it's not going to be a case of being able to fight guys that have got mediocre records, just like myself. I often get guys that have got a good run under their belt, and that have got good things in their future. So I'm a bit of a gatekeeper, I suppose, but I'm willing to take that on the chin and just kind of accept that. And I've still got a lot to give, and I think I'm sort of maturing as a fighter as well. So I'm at my best. I feel like the best shape in my life. So
yeah, it's great. Yeah, I mean, obviously you say you feel like a bit of a gatekeeper, but it's the same for you, Dan. You get a few wins, and you're in that same position, pushing your way up the rankings. I mean, what is your thoughts on the coming months and years for you? What's your goals in this now? Coming up, obviously, with a win on the 23rd, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, ideally a win on the 23rd, and that keeps the momentum going. I mean, I've been able to sort of make some really good progress over the last couple of years, and it's generally down to just sort of having everything in order. I've had the gym to balance out, and trying to spread myself between being a coach and obviously being an athlete. It's quite difficult, and trying to put food on the table and pay my bills, etc. So it's not been an easy journey, really. And I do feel like I've balanced it now. I've got X amount of hours put aside each week for training, a couple of times a day, and I'm able to balance that with my coaching and my home life. And that being all in place, I feel like I'm able to perform. Despite the loss in Canada recently, I've had a good run the last couple of years, and it's just down to everything being in order, really. Just my priorities. My home life all balanced out, my team sort of progressing, and it's all a journey. It's been a learning curve from start to finish, and I'm not obviously finished yet. So I feel like I've got some fights left in me, and some more to show.
Yeah, no, it's great to hear. I mean, I don't know how much you know about your opponent. He's 3-0, but do you know enough about him to sort of give us a prediction on how you see this one going?
Well, there's not a lot out there, to be perfectly honest. He's a Spanish guy, I believe. So he's been on the Spanish circuit. He's been doing a bit of Muay Thai, and obviously he's 3-0 in Pro MMA. There's not a lot out there in terms of his amateur record in MMA. Whether or not he's had any amateur fights is kind of up in the air. I'm not particularly, fussed about his background. I know he's going to be a competent striker.
Yeah.
He's going to be proficient on his feet. And based on the one fight that I've been able to see footage of, he's proficient on the floor as well. He's quite explosive, and he's long and rangy. So, I expect this fight to sort of stretch out a little bit. I'm going to take my time. I'm not going to allow, it to get too crazy. I think, I need to sort of settle into this fight. So I'm going to put the pressure on him just gradually, I think, and just buy my time. I'm quite happy to go 3 rounds. That being said, we'll see what happens on the night. But I'm preparing for a 3-round war. I don't know if he's expecting to come in and try and put me away, but it'd be a silly move on his part to sort of expect that. Certainly.
Yeah.
Bear in mind that he must know that you train with people like Johnny Brocklesby. I doubt if he's got much. I doubt he's got much more than Johnny can do, because that guy's probably the hardest guy I've ever seen in the cage, and I've watched some high level MMA.
Johnny, man, he really is mustard. He's man. He brings the fight every time. His display of heart and stamina, it's off the charts. He just endures, so much. Bless him. And he's able to just please the fans every time out. It's incredible.
Yeah. And Chris, just before we move on a second, do we have any questions on Facebook coming in for Dan there?
I'm not seeing any at the moment, although I am struggling to refresh at the minute. So apologies on that.
No worries. Well, Dan, unfortunately, we've obviously overlapped into our time slot a little bit now. So just before we let you go, is there any sort of message you want to give to your fans or opponents leading up to this one on the 23rd?
Well, I just want to, give a shout out mainly to my teammates and support, and then obviously my sponsors as well. I won't have time to list that. I don't want to keep you guys, but massive thank you to just everybody in my circle. Obviously my coaches as well, my teammates that all push me. I'm bringing it on the 23rd. I'm prepared for this. You better believe it.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, we look forward to seeing you, Dan.
Before you do go, you have a message, Dan, from Michael Mason. If you speak to Dan Gibbon, please tell him Michael Mason says hello and good luck in his fight. He's my old coach and he trained me and called me on Almighty Fighting Championships 1, where I landed the show's first ever head kick knockout as a heavyweight. Now I remember that I was there. It was in Leeds Town Hall, and
right.
I remember I was sitting up on the balcony at the time, so I had this absolutely crystal clear view of it, and you could actually feel the power of this head kick. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So, hello to you from Michael, and any message back from Michael?
Thanks, Mike. I hope you're doing well.
Brilliant. Dan, thank you very much for your time, buddy.
Yeah, pleasure. Thank you for having me, guys. Sorry about that.
No worries. Have a good evening and good luck with the fight.
Good luck, Dan.
See you guys on the 23rd. Thank you.
Brilliant. So, that is Dan Gibbon. Dan is obviously going to be fighting on the same card as our next guest who's just joined us. George Smith, thank you very much for joining us. How are you this evening?
You all right? Yeah, guys. Yeah, I'm all good. Are you?
Yeah, very, very good. So, George, first of all, big fight coming up. Obviously, everyone on this show tonight is going to be competitors on Almighty Fighting Championship 11. What's your thoughts on this fight coming up and your thoughts on the promotion as a whole?
I've fought on Almighty before, one of my amateur fights, and got on with Steve and Ray really well. So actually, Steve sits in front. I'm a Leeds United season ticket holder, and he sits just in front of me. So by chance,
you've had a good year this year, haven't you?
Oh yeah, keep it going. Yeah, don't want to jinx that one.
Yeah, no, brilliant.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to be fighting Leeds 02. What's it like to sort of be up there? I would imagine you're going to have a lot of hometown fans supporting you on the night, is it?
Yeah, hopefully. I usually get quite a lot if I fight in Yorkshire. I usually get 50 to 100 guys coming to watch me, so it should be a good atmosphere for me.
Yeah, always good to have people cheering you on. And you're training out at SBG Manchester at the moment, is that?
Yeah.
That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah.
How's your camp been going in the lead up to this one? Obviously, you're going to be fighting Marvin Bednars.
Yeah.
What's your camp been going like, and what's your thoughts on the opponent?
It's been great. I had an injury at the end of last year, so I couldn't compete in October, and then so I've basically been rehabbing and training since then. I've not really stopped, so I'm feeling mint, feeling great. And my opponent, I've seen bits of him, and I've seen him a few times as an amateur, but I believe if I fight out, I can take him apart. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good fight. Chris, do you have any comments coming in on Facebook for George?
I've just checked. We haven't yet, no. But I was interested to see where George thinks the fight's going, because looking at both of your records, you both seem to be like submission artists. I've seen Martin fight before. I think it was actually on. It was actually on Almighty One.
Probably.
A minute ago. So I remember I've got a recollection of him being pretty proficient on the ground, and obviously, looking through your record, okay, maybe 0-1 as a pro, but look at your amateur record. Your only amateur losses against Justin Burlinson, who's now fighting. The guy's fought in Bama, is now fighting in Bellator. So you've got a good record going into this. How do you feel it's going to go?
Yeah, I think if it becomes a ground fight, it's my fight all day. So I believe I'm way better than him on the ground. I'm a lot more technical, a lot bigger as well. But yeah, it's a good challenge. He's a strong guy from what I've seen. Physical, which most of the Polish guys that I've fought and trained with are usually very physical. So you can never overlook anyone like who's strong and fit.
Agreed.
I just want to chip in a second because we've got a question coming in from Lewis Clark, and he's asked this question a couple of times now. I'm not sure specifically who it's aimed at, but he's saying, how many Jaffa cakes could you eat in a minute?
I'm almost a professional eater, so I think when I'm not training for camps, I reckon I could do quite a lot. I probably do a lot more cheesecakes than Jaffa cakes.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's got any relevance if you're a known supporter of Jaffa cakes or a known lover of Jaffa cakes.
Not known for them.
Chris, what about you, buddy? How many Jaffa cakes can you do in a minute?
Depends. See, I'm thinking about this when I saw it pop up. It depends what I had to drink alongside it, because
no, you don't have a drink. You don't have
Jaffa
a drink.
cakes are relatively dry. You see, now I could probably eat a whole Jaffa cake in one bite. That's not too much of an issue, but it's the swallowing that's going to be the problem. So if I've got a glass of water, I reckon I'll give you a pretty good challenge, George. So I'd give you a Jaffa cake fight, but that'll be about as far as we go.
Yeah. We can do that in like May or something.
Right.
Well, like in the summer break or something when there's no shows on. I'll do it.
Yeah, we'll book that one in, George. Okay, after your next fight,
100%.
In the summer, we'll do one of these shows. We'll get you both on and Jaffa cake.
Yeah, definitely. I'm up for that one. We could do cheesecake in the winter as well then. Make sure.
I'm up for that. I'm so up for that. So after this, going back to your fight then. So after the Martin Bednar's fight, so you get yourself. Obviously, it's not a question about will you win.
Yeah,
you're a fighter. It's when you win.
Yeah.
So you get yourself back to 1-1. What's next?
I just want to climb the rankings. Just get a good run under my belt this year. 4 or 5 fights would be a good one till the end of the year. I was active as an amateur. My amateur record online doesn't actually show. I was I think 11-1 when I finished my amateur record. So I had a lot of fights. So I want to carry on it as a pro, and hopefully keep climbing the rankings. That's where I'm at. Get some good wins.
Brilliant. We've got Lewis Clark is saying he'd like to get in on this Jaffa cake eating competition as well. So Lewis Clark,
more the better. We'll do it for charity or something.
Yeah, add Peter Knox as a friend. Send him a message, and when we do this show, we might even try and get some other MMA stars on here as well, and we'll have an MMA UK Jaffa cake eating competition, and we'll see how that goes.
And I know there's a guy, Akon Wanless, from Renegade. He's into his Jaffa cakes, so he'd be a good one to get on for eating them. He loves his Jaffa cakes.
I reckon Steve Mayer would be well up for it as well, actually.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he's a big Jaffa cake fan.
So, George, obviously, you said you've got quite a big amateur record. For people who don't know you so well, you're 0-1 as a professional at the minute. But how long have you been going in MMA, and what sort of first drew you into the sport?
I was full-time GB judo athlete for 4 or 5 years. So I lived down in Birmingham, and I moved back up north around 2.5 years ago, and then I joined SBG. So I was really active. I think I had like 8 or 9 fights in 2 years, and just that's what got me into it. Just it was a natural transition. I used to train with the Butlin, Davey and Andy Butlin in Huddersfield when I was young. And then I got an opportunity to go and train with the Great Britain team, so I left and did that for 4 or 5 years. So I came back.
So an active competitor then, even though obviously you've not got a huge pro record yet, it's something that they're going to be working on. I mean, what's the long-term goal for you in the sport?
To go all the way. It's taken me time to get all my game flowing together. And my last performance was just I fought terrible, didn't deserve to win. I'm open enough to admit it just wasn't my night. And fair play to the guy, but I'm looking to go all the way. I know I can beat a lot of beat most guys I've trained with or done anything with. I'm always pretty confident. Any time I step into cage, I always feel like I can win. So I'm excited to put a run together as a pro.
Yeah, and Chris, it's always exciting when you see sort of guys with this sort of attitude, isn't it? Young professionals who's coming in and really setting their sights for the top. It's nice to see, isn't it?
Excellent. I was wondering if you see your future staying as a middleweight, or do you think that a drop to welterweight would be possible?
I am 6'3.5" and quite a big middle. I've never standing next to other middleweights. I've never really looked small compared to. So I think all the top middleweights in the UFC are around my height. So probably have to put a bit more size on, but I think I'm physically probably big enough as a middleweight.
Yeah. How is the cut to middleweight for you? Is it an easy cut or?
I wouldn't say easy, but to be honest, I've been cutting weight for judo and MMA kind of my whole life. Like I understand what it takes to make the weight, so it doesn't really bother me too much. It's part of it. And when you get in there and you feel big, there's no better feeling than being able to dominate someone, I suppose.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at the comments, Chris. Sorry, we've got a lot of people jumping on this Jaff Kick challenge now. Con Halliday says he's in 2. Chris Garden is saying he ate a whole packet in under a minute by accident. So, I think we're gonna have to get this going.
Well, what we could do is we could set up the video. Everyone's joins in. Everyone puts the money on the line. It goes to a homeless charity. Half to a homeless charity, half to the winner. Something like that, I don't know.
Yeah, knowing full well what a little cheat Conor Halliday is. I want to make sure that we set the ground rules out. We want to make sure that the boxes of Jaffa Cakes are unopened beforehand, because otherwise I know what it'll be like. He'll be chucking all sorts of stuff over the Jaffa Cakes to make them go down easy.
Yeah,
so.
That's we can't have cheating. We need referees. We need
strict rules. There's got to be strict rules in this competition, I think, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. I think so.
Any other questions coming through on Facebook, Chris?
None other than the Jaffa Cake ones.
Yeah, you've started some off here now.
That's the problem. Let me just refresh my feed and see if there's anything else which is a little bit more serious coming up.
While he refreshes, George, is there any sort of message you want to give to friends, fans, even to your opponent before the fight's coming up?
I think I'm too much of a martial artist to give any smack talk to my opponent, so good luck to him. But just to everyone at SBG and my sponsors as well, got Yorkshire Payments, Kiara Lighting, Cooper Close Electrical, Town Hall Dental, Halifax Bathrooms, Retreat Beauty Lounge, and just SBG. Everyone at SBG. It's a great team, and I love training there. So everyone there.
How long have you been at SBG now? Did you say?
2.5 years, and obviously. It's Matt Inman now is the head coach, so it's we're well looked after. He's got a wealth of knowledge. It's a great guy to be around, to be honest.
Yeah, Matt's obviously a very experienced competitor, isn't he? So great guy to be under. But
we do have one other comment.
Yeah.
So I think this is relating to your Leeds United support.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so will you be sending a spy to watch your opponent train?
That we always have spies going out. As a Leeds United fan, we have spies everywhere. I mean, it's if it gets you results, I don't mind sending a spy or two out there.
But I'm all for it. I'm a Palace fan,
Yeah.
and I just wish we could do something like that.
It's just that winning mentality. We've not won for what
forever.
Forever, yeah. It was when I was an actual kid since last time we did well. So if it takes spying, I don't mind that. That's all good to me.
Oh, excellent! I think that's it question wise from us. So,
yeah.
Well,
yeah,
George,
it's been good to talk to you both.
Yeah, George, thank you very much for coming on, buddy. And obviously, we really appreciate the time now. Your camp's underway, and for all the fans watching of George, he's going to be fighting 23rd of March, and that's going to be at the O2 in Leeds. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. I'm excited for it, so get down and support. It's a good show, good guys on it. A lot of my teammates as well, so yeah, come support.
Brilliant.
And also support your local fighter. Go and get your tickets off of George.
That's it, yeah. Get them from me, please.
Well, George, thank you very much for the time, buddy, and
cheers,
best
guys.
of luck with the fight, okay?
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers,
Talk
George.
to you a bit. Bye.
There you go. So that's the second guest of the evening, George Smith. We're just waiting now. We're going to be getting on, as you called him, Chris, the head honcho, Ray Thomson.
The joint head honcho.
Joint head honcho, my apologies. Yeah, he's on. So Ray's obviously the promoter of the show, isn't he, Almighty? And yeah, no better person to ask about the show than one half of the man himself, I suppose.
Indeed, yeah. Well, where are you, Ray? Come on. Get on, because if you don't come on, Ray, I'm just going to start talking about you, because I've known you for a few years now, so you don't want me to start spilling all your secrets now, do you?
I will say Chris has been very much looking forward to getting Ray on for everyone at home. We had a little phone call earlier, and he was very excited about speaking with Ray. So, yeah, we're going to get Ray on. I think we're going to keep him on through the Craig Skelton and Warren Mason interview as well. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Knowing Warren and knowing how much fun he's going to have with it, and I imagine if Craig's half as entertaining as Warren, it would be good to have the promoter as the Dana White standing in between them, just trying to separate them.
We can do that. Can I just ask as well, Chris? Did I see you drinking a little cheeky glass of wine there a minute ago?
Yeah, well, it's been a long day. It's been a long week already. So I wasn't really prepared to be on the podcast until earlier on today. I thought I'd get a glass of red to settle my nerves, ready for a good chat. Yeah,
no, fair play. I was watching the screen on my iPad the other side of me, and I was like, Chris is on one tonight. So I wish you would have said I got a few beers and I could have joined you, but we'll have to leave that until next time now.
Next time. See, we should always crack open some type of drink before we start the podcast. It always makes it far more entertaining. Yeah, you just never know where it's going to go.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, if you look at Joe Rogan and stuff, they always have a few beers and
something else. Yeah,
something else on there as well. So perhaps that's going to be the way forward now for the MMA UK show. We'll start having a few beers.
See, as soon as I warned him, he's jumped straight on.
And as soon as beers are mentioned, we get the man himself, Ray Thomson. How are you this evening, sir?
I'm very good, thank you.
And yeah, for the people watching at home, Ray's obviously the promoter with Almighty Fighting Championships, where the next show is coming up in Leeds, 23rd of March. Can you tell us a little bit about this show, Ray, and what we can expect?
Yeah, I mean, we're known for the quality of our show. The production of our show is excellent. I mean, we're a regional show, but we run everything like a big show. You know, we've got a good venue. We've done shows at the Barbican in York. We've done shows at the O2 Academy in Leeds. We always have a good venue, good atmosphere. Everyone that has been on the show is always happy with the way we run it, the way we treat people. And when I do the matching, I always look at fights I'd like to watch myself. So I'm a huge fan of the sport. I'm a huge MMA nerd, and I look at records, and I think on paper that looks even. Or if there's fighters that I know, I think, I'd like to see him fight him. If I'd like to see it, then I know other people would like to see it, and that's kind of what I base on what I do.
Yeah, I think we've just got Craig Skelton jumped in. Craig, how are you this evening as well?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very well, sir. Thank you for coming on and taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Just a few more questions for Ray. I mean, Ray, first of all, can you speak to us a little bit about your background in this as well? How you sort of came to be involved in MMA and how you started on the show? I know Chris is a big fan and he was looking forward to having you on this evening. So he's got a few questions lined up for you as well, I think.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I'm just an MMA nerd. I've followed the sport before it was called MMA. I've always loved mixed martial arts, or back in the days when it wasn't mixed martial arts. I've always been a fan. I've watched every single UFC event from UFC 1 to present day. I've not missed a show. And then about 7 or 8 years ago, I got the chance to do my own MMA website and my own MMA podcast. Not, similar to what you guys are doing now. And I kind of used it as a way to reach out and interview people that I never thought I'd be able to interview. And I was lucky enough to interview some of the biggest stars in the world of MMA. I interviewed people that have gone on to be UFC champion. I interviewed people that were involved in the sport, people like Big John McCarthy and Bruce Buffer and John Anik. I even got the chance to interview Tyson Fury. He called out Cain Velasquez on my podcast. So things like that were just really cool for me to do. It's something that I love to do. So I was speaking to people that were like my idols. And then I did that for about 3 years. And then Steve Mayer, my business partner, put out an open challenge for a fight. I've always been out of shape and overweight, and I thought I'd love to get in and just have a go and see how I'd do. So I put myself through a 20-week training camp. Steve did as well. I lost, I think it was 5 stone. I think it was about 32 kilo in 20 weeks. Stepped into the cage at Ellen Road. Me and Steve fought for 3 rounds. He won by decision. I won one round. He won 2. And then shortly after that, I moved from the Midlands to North, not far from where Steve was. So I reached out to him and said, look, do you want to set up a show? And we set up Almighty. We did the first show, as Chris said, at the town hall in Leeds. We didn't really know what we were doing, but we gave it a go. The show was good. We obviously had loads of teething problems, as you do, and we've learned as we've gone on. And then from the shows, we've gone on to do fight management as well. We've been lucky enough to work with people, build relationships with people. People like working with us. They like how honest and upfront we are. And yeah, it's gone on. I mean, I know last week you had 3 of my lads on and they're all fighting on Bellator. So for me, to be able to create an opportunity for somebody like that, you know, it's amazing. That's what I like to do.
Yeah, no, brilliant. And Chris, obviously, I think you were at that first show as well, wasn't you? You were saying earlier.
Yeah, it was great. So I covered it for a now defunct news outlet. But Ray and Steve were fantastic. I had a bit of a relationship with Steve first of all, not Ray until that point. But whilst I think you've been quite modest in what you're saying, Ray, saying that there were teething problems, I've been to lots of shows that are far more experienced, and it ran really well. You know, it was a good show. There were well-matched fights throughout. It was just an enjoyable event. So I've obviously followed your event from show 1 onwards, and it's just worked. You know, every single show's been an improvement, and it's been an incremental improvement every single time. You haven't tried to jump in a level which is just manageable. Every single show's just it's just got better and better. And talking about the fighters that you're taking into Bellator, some of them started off in your show. People like, I remember the last show that I came to where you and Stephen kindly invited me up. Luke Westwood was fighting on it. And I saw this kid for the first time and thought, oh my God, that kid is an absolute murderer. And now the world's going to get to see it because Bellator picked him up. So, yeah, do you know what? The question I was going to hit you with, Ray, that I didn't pre-warn you about, I was going to ask you about your fights with Steve because I love that story. And you've already covered it off, you sod. So you've talked about one of the fights. How about the second one?
Oh, we did. Scott Ascombe does a charity event every year, and we went in and did a boxing match, and I didn't train for it. My cardio is horrendous. I think I had about a minute's worth of fight in me, so he beat me up for 3 rounds, but I didn't mind. It's all good fun, and every now and then we get a chance. We have a bit of a grapple out the back as well. I'll do all right for about 30 to 45 seconds, and I run out of steam, and he just beats the living crap out of me. But it makes him feel good. I let him do that just to let him think he's boss for a bit.
Butter him up for a little while, yeah.
Steve, if you're watching, you know that means that you're going to have to go harder on him next time.
Exactly.
Well, Ray, there's also a famous uncle that you've got as well.
Yeah, it's quite mad, to be fair, the reach that my uncle's had, not just in the UK, but across the world. I never, obviously growing up with him, it was not something I was really aware of. I mean, he was teaching, in theory, he was teaching mixed martial arts before mixed martial arts was a recognised sport. I mean, my uncle is a gentleman called Ray Thomson. He's from Coventry. In the 1980s, he was a doorman. Coventry was extremely rough back then, a lot of gangs, and Jeff was somebody who kind of rose to the top and was somebody who you just didn't get on the wrong side of. He was a very, very dangerous man. He put down his experiences in a book called Watch My Back, which went all over the world. He's also a martial arts instructor. I mean, I remember when I was 15, 16 years old, so we're going back to 95. So you got to remember UFC was around in 93, and we were doing something called Animal Day. And we used to all get around in a group, and he'd call 2 people out. You didn't know who it was going to call, and he'd call you out. You start off with boxing gloves in the middle. You'd box. When it went to the floor, people would come in, they'd pull the gloves off, and then you'd grapple for a finish. And of course, that is what MMA is to an extent now. But back then, MMA wasn't a thing. But yeah, but then obviously with the people I work with now, I realised what an impact he's had. I mean, I was with Neil Hall, who's refereed in the UFC, and he was showing me certificates he's got from from courses he'd done at Jeff's, and it was just quite surreal to see the impact he's had across martial arts in general.
Yeah, sounds like a brilliant story. What was the book called again?
So he must have done about 30 or 40 books. So the first book he did was called Watch My Back, and it was his time as a bouncer on the door. He's also written films and plays. I mean, his latest film had Orlando Bloom in it. His very first short film had Ray Winston in it. He played a Jeff type character. He won a BAFTA award for his second film, which was called Brown Paper Bag, which was about alcoholism, which was a very hard hitting one. And then he's done a lot of real technique books, so real punching, real grappling, real judo. I mean, this is a chap that was he had so many different bouts and grades in lots of different kind of martial arts. He's recognised all over the world. I mean, to the extent where Chuck Norris flew him over to America to teach a seminar in America, that's kind of how well recognised he is. There's obviously everyone's going to have heard of The Krays. There's a book called Hard Bastards by Katie Cray, which talks about all the different gangsters throughout the UK. And Jeff's got a chapter in that book as well. He's just a very, very well known, and he's done a lot of self-help books now. He's kind of moved away from all that now. This is what he was like in his younger days. He's done a lot of self-help stuff now, and I know he's helped a lot of people through tough times. So yeah, it's quite amazing, really.
Yeah. So obviously, like you said, you've got that famous family in there, and that's obviously passed down to you because putting these brilliant shows on. And like we said, we've got two guys with us now who's going to be fighting on our next show up in Leeds. Firstly, as we've already introduced, Craig Skelton and his opponent Warren Mason. Boys, how are you doing tonight? We'll start off with you, Craig. How's things, and how much are you looking forward to this matchup?
Yeah, good. Feeling really good. It's a tough fight, and I'm ready for it.
And Warren, how are you this evening as well, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Feeling good for it. Just can't wait to get it on.
Big show up in Leeds. Obviously, it's nice to have you both on at the same time. I'll come to you first of all, Ray. What's your thoughts on putting this matchup on with these two young, promising guys?
So, like I said, I like to watch fights that I want to see myself. When I match, I think, is that going to be a good fight for people to watch? I don't want to watch a fight and know who's going to win before the fight. They've both got a long history with Almighty. Craig has worked through the amateur ranks and has gone pro. He had a very, very tough fight on his last fight, but he stepped up to the challenge. He fell short, so he's back again. He's facing another tough guy. Warren has got to be one of the most experienced amateurs in the country. I might be wrong, but he must have had around about 25 amateur fights. He's fought all over the world with doing the Europeans and the Worlds as well. And he's just, again, Warren was part of AFC 1. I think one of the most exciting moments in the cage that wasn't a fight was his call out of Khalid Patel at AFC. I think it was AFC 2, who's disappeared from the scene now.
I just knew and went running.
Yeah, I just knew it would be a good fight. And they're both very, very talented. And I don't know who's going to win. That's why I put the fight together.
Yeah. And Warren, Chris is familiar with yourself, and he said that you're a bit of a talker. You've got the magic on the mic.
Do you know what, Warren? I remember you at Battle Arena 46 back in July 2017. So Warren's opponent failed to make weight or didn't turn up. I can't remember. You were supposed to fight.
No, it were one at Lads Fump Gym, Brandon Howell. He was supposed to be fighting the kid who I fought, and I got offered it, so on like 24 hours notice. It's at featherweight.
Yeah, I stepped up 2 weight classes.
Fuck it, I love a good old fight, you know what I mean?
And won second round submission victory, and then afterwards. Now, bearing in mind this was in Nottingham, wasn't it? So the guy you were fighting, it was his hometown. The place was absolutely full of his own supporters, and then Warren just got on the mic and just started slagging him off, saying about how crap he was because he just got beaten him 2 weight classes above. And I was just stood there, cage side, thinking, I just want to get out of this alive, so can you just please stop talking now? But no, he just carried on, just slagging everyone off, and then just strolled out of the cage after beating the hometown guy. So, yeah, you're fun to watch, Warren.
That's how I do it. Every time.
And you've got a big challenge coming up. You're a young guy in the sport, same as Craig. And any thoughts on Craig as an opponent, Warren?
Well, when I got the match up, I didn't really know much about him, and then I watched a couple of fights and I got very excited. He's had a knockout and he's finished some guys, and I don't want to be fighting them guys who go distant. I like good fights. I like people who can challenge me and put me away, in a sense. And I'm a finisher myself. Out of me 12 wins at amateur, I've had 10 finishes, so I'm looking to finish the fight.
Yeah. And Craig, same question to you. Obviously, you're coming up against Warren, a very confident young fighter. What do you know of Warren, and what's your thoughts on the matchup?
I know he's been around the scene for a very long time. I wasn't really going to drop to flyweight in my amateur career, so it wasn't really a matchup I wanted to take in amateur. I respect him as a fighter, and I think this is going to be an absolute banger of a fight. We're both going in there to finish each other. We're not going to go do 3 5-minute rounds. It's going to be a war.
Yeah, no, we look forward to it. And Craig, I mean, for people who's not so familiar with yourself, like we said, you're young in the sport. Tell us a little bit about yourself and sort of how you've come onto the scene, and how long you've been going with the MMA.
I come on the scene probably about 5 years ago. Fighting amateur, fought bantamweight, featherweight, had a couple of fights at lightweight, just to find my natural weight class. Had about 17 amateur fights, and then decided after knocking out Adam Buttersworth that it was time to step it up and go pro.
Yeah, and Warren, same for you as well. Like, tell us a little bit about yourself for the fans watching at home. What led you down this path? Because it's not necessarily your everyday sport, is it? Going in the cage and kicking ass. What got you down this path?
Because I kicked ass out at cage. That's why. No, I just love fighting, man. I started this when I was about 15. I was just a rough kid, just like fighting. And then I found a gym. Like, one of my mates' stepbrothers, like he used to do it. I got a bit of trouble out on the streets because I was a bit of a bad kid, like. And then I ended up knocking someone out on the street, and then I got a lot of trouble from that. So he just said, "Look, we'll take you to the gym," and I could sort it out with them after. Do you know what I mean? After a couple of months of training, they didn't want it, and then my coach, after 3 weeks of training, just asked me if I wanted to fight, and I can't turn the fight down. You know, I love fighting.
Is that something then? You said you were getting in trouble outside of the cage, and you were fighting outside of the cage. Is that something you'd recommend to other people in that situation, that they joined MMA gyms and go down that route instead of taking it out to the streets?
Not just mixed martial art, any type of combat sport. If you like fighting, it's probably the best thing out there. You can make money from it, you know.
Yeah, no, fair play. And Chris, do we have any comments coming in for the guys?
Well, there's a couple who are coming for Ray. So Chris Gadden has asked, Ray, are you looking to run your show around the country, or are you going to stick with Leeds?
We normally run in York, so we will mainly be in York. We've kind of got quite a good little network in Yorkshire. We normally do it at the Barbican in York, and they weren't available, which is why we're at the O2 for this show. But the Barbican's been that impressed with the way we've run our show and with the way things have gone. They've actually booked us up for the next 2 years. So we've got 5 shows booked over the next 2 years at the Barbican in York, and this will be a one night only at the O2 Academy in Leeds.
Excellent. My camera's gone off. How do I put it back on?
There should be like a little button with the camera symbol on it.
Oh yeah, back on.
There you go. Peter Knox has commented to you as well, Ray. He said, take the show to Scotland.
Yeah, I mean, MMA up in Scotland's booming, isn't it? I mean, because we've moved to York, we get quite a lot come from the northeast. We've had a bigger input from the northeast now because we're that bit nearer to the northeast. I know that's not quite Scotland, but I mean, wherever the thing is, it's so hard to build up a network for yourself, and you need to get to know the local gyms. So if I moved up to Scotland, I've got no network as it is at the moment up in Scotland. Same as if I moved to the Midlands or down south. And also, you don't like to go stand on someone else's territory. I mean, people work hard to build a show up, and I'd hate to go and put a show on somewhere else when there's other shows that are building up there. I think it's quite not a very nice thing to do. So for now, we're happy with where we are, and we're going to be sticking to. I think we're seen as one of the best shows in Yorkshire. We're going to stick to doing that for now.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head with that. Certainly, you have you've built up a rapport with the local area. You built up a network of supporting gyms. You can see that from the regularity that people come onto your show. So yeah, it's a sensible approach, which will clearly give you that longevity. So Peter's now asked the 2 guys who are on the line, so Craig and Warren. Do you guys ever talk shit to get into each other's heads? We start off with Craig.
Never. But I know Warren's very keen on shit talking sometimes. But for me, I like to go the George St. Pierre route. I like to be very humble. And that's just the way I am, I suppose.
Warren, do you want to surprise us?
I talk shit when they talk shit. They want to run their mouth, I run my mouth too, so it's a fight.
I've got a question for you, actually, Warren. I was asking about. I think it'd be good for the fans to know about your relationship with Andy Halliday, who's another person who is just a legend in mixed martial arts.
Yeah, he's been like a dad to me, to be honest. He was the one who took me in like a son. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I can't put it into words. Like, it's been great to me, man. Like, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him. So I've got a lot of respect for the guy, and he's done a lot for me. Like, yeah, I just lived at his house. He's helped me out. Like, I can't put it all into a sentence. You know what I mean? He's done a lot for me.
Excellent. So I've just completely changed the mood of this now. You should have been talking shit to your opponent. I've just made you all nice. Well, I'm gonna say something else nice to you as well. 10 weeks time, you're due to become a dad for the first time as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
So,
mad.
How on earth can you keep your mind on fighting when you've got this coming up?
Because I'm gonna do it not just for me and not for my girlfriend. Now I'm doing it for my son as well. So Craig is no bother to me. I'm gonna put him away. So I need to make this happen.
Ray, you've got a question from Lewis Clark. Who do you think is going to win the fight between these two?
Oh, put him on the spot.
I'm not going to predict a winner, but I'll tell you where I think the strengths are. I believe this is just my opinion, and you can take it as it was. But I believe Craig's got the advantage in the stand-up, and I believe Warren's got the advantage on the ground. That's my opinion. I mean, Craig's knockout of Adam was very, very impressive.
We'll see.
What do you think about that, guys? Craig, would you agree with that?
Nobody's seen my stand-up properly. Like, you're going to see it.
I don't think anyone's seen my stand-up or my actual true potential of what I can actually do in the stand-up game. So it's going to be good.
Amazing.
Yeah. No, fair play, guys. Like I said, it's always good when we get these kind of matchups. Two young guys. Two guys are obviously very hungry as well. And I think that's something you see right throughout the Almighty Fighting Championship show coming up, is that there's a lot of evenly matched fights where...
Lions eat, gazelles get eaten.
Yeah. We can't wait for this fight now. So it's going to be a good one.
Ray, you're a popular guy today, Ray. So if people don't know, Ray actually, as he said, he's an MMA nerd, and I hope you don't mind me saying it, but it's true. The stuff that you put together is fantastic, though. So Ray's put together, I remember last year, he put together a top 100 fighters throughout the UFC's history, based upon a series of stats. And he also runs it's like a UFC fantasy league as well, and I think it's in your second year now. So Peter Knox is asking you, who is the greatest of all time and why?
So the stats think what in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
So based on this on my system of stats that I've done, the GOO, the GOAT from the UFC is still Anderson the Spider Silva. He's number one in my little stats thing. That's up to date up to from UFC 1 up to the event just been with Dillashaw and Cejudo. So it's bang up to date. I update that after every event.
So what's that based on?
You still going with that?
What's that based on?
Yeah, I do it after every show. So basically, I've devised a point system, and it's completely nerdy. But for anyone that likes stats, and which I do, it's brilliant. So they basically for every UFC fight from UFC 1 to present day, they get points based on performances in the UFC. So none of it's my opinion; it's just on stats from the UFC. They get points on card placement. So the higher up the card, they get more points. They get points on winning. They get more points if they win early on in the fight. So round 1's worth more than round 3. And they lose points for losing. Again, they lose points for losing early on in the fight. UFC bonuses get extra points. And title fights are worth double. So what it rewards people that have been champions for a long time, like Anderson Silva. It also rewards people that have been exciting and have won numerous UFC bonuses or finishers, if you like. So in my top 10, roughly, this isn't the right order, but you've got the top 10 overall. You've got people like Anderson Silva, George St. Pierre, John Jones, Michael Bisping's in the top 10, Matt Hughes is in the top 10, Donald Cerrone is in the top 10, Frankie Edgar's in the top 10. So they're all people that have had long careers in the UFC and have achieved a lot.
Yeah, fair play. Where can people see this as well, Ray? Because it is quite an interesting little page, I think, for people who are nerds like yourself who want to see it.
Yeah, but it's not published anywhere. It's just something I do for myself. I did it on my Facebook last year, and I got quite a positive response. Basically, I've got a table for overall, then I've got a table for each individual weight class. So I've got a top performer in each weight class, and then I've got an overall table as well. But yeah, anyone who wants to see it, just send me a message. I'm always happy to show people it if it's the kind of thing they like. I know Chris enjoyed it when I posted it last year, but it's obviously 15 months on from that now, so it's updated more and there's more stats on there now as well. Because I literally update it after every UFC event.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to send that to me now.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think a lot of people would be interested in seeing that, so we'll definitely get a link.
I'll see if I can speak to Peter and see if he wants to publish it on the website, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I think that would be interesting for everyone. But getting back to this fight, boys. Obviously, we want to give you the centre stage for a little bit as well. Warren, I'll come to you first. Can we get a prediction from you for this fight? How do you see it going against Craig?
Mauling on my behalf to Craig. To be honest, I'm not sure. I don't predict nothing. I just go in there and fight, and I finish fights, as my record shows that. So it's going to be a finish. I just don't know what way yet. I'm not no Mystic Matt.
Fair play. And Craig, obviously, what's your take on the fight? How do you see it going this matchup?
Like I said before, it's going to be a war. Got respect for him, but I'll be putting him out 100%.
Yeah. And have you faced anyone yet who gives you like a little bit of smack talk, and how does it kind of affect you at all?
Me?
Yeah. Does it sort of
I've had people smack talk loads, but I'm not asked. It doesn't really bother me. At the end of the day, they're the one who's going to be locked in the cage against me, and they're not sitting it. It's game over.
Yeah, no, fair play. No arguments for me. Like I said, it's good to just get you guys on your face-to-face and have that first meeting and hype up the fight, because, like I said, I think it is going to be a really good one. Anything else coming in from the comments, Chris?
Okay, Connor Halliday is asking Warren a question. Warren, are you going to wear your cow print leggings into the cage? There's a story here now. You got to tell us the story.
Oh, it's like cow prints. I've got. Wait there. I think they're in wash basket here. Wait there. Yeah. Not even cow print. The fucking snow leopard. But I'm telling you what, my arse looks good in them.
Craig, have you got anything that can match Warren's arse in snow leopard?
I don't know. I haven't got much of an arse when I drop to flyweight, so I'll have to have a look about.
John Hustler's asked the question. So hello, John. You listener, which is great. Ray, what's been your favourite Almighty Fighting Championship moment to date?
Oh God, it's so hard to pick a moment. I mean, we're very lucky. We've had some great finishes. I mean, on the last show alone, we had the Louis Blair head kick. We had, Kieran Lister's knockout of Simeon Otley after 11 seconds, which of course has led him on to fight on Bellator, was pretty special. I think probably the most craziest moment was when Johnny Brocklesby, who's fighting on the next show, was defending his amateur title against Ben Crawley from Aspire in Liverpool. And ironically, he's fighting one of his teammates. And Johnny had basically beat him up for 3 rounds. He'd put him against the cage, he'd hustled him, he'd beat him, took him down, beat him up. And to be fair, Ben was showing a ton of heart and was hanging in. And I don't know how he hung in. Then in the 4th round, Ben comes out and throws this most ridiculous, all I can say is like a somersault kick. And he just lands and grabs Johnny's leg. And within seconds of the round starting, he's knee barred him and Johnny's tapping. And Johnny dominated that fight. I mean, if it's on YouTube, it's worth going to watch. You need to kind of watch the fight to appreciate the finish, because it was such a one-sided fight and it was all Johnny all way. And he just out of nowhere. Probably the most shocking moment. And then talking about George Smith's opponent, Marcin Bednarz, I think it was AFC 3. Him and Dan Tempest fought for our middleweight title, and the fight was absolutely ridiculous. At the time it happened, it was called the Amateur Fight of the Year from some guys that work on regular shows. It was just an amazing back and forward fight. We've seen Bednarz caught Tempest with a punch and broke his nose, and he looked out, but he obviously hung on. Then in the 4th round, he managed to take Marcin Bednarz back and he sunk in the choke. And Bednarz, being as tough as what he is, there was no quitting him and he just went to sleep. But it was just very, very dramatic. So they're probably some of my favourite moments off the top of my head. But we've had so many good moments over the years. We've been very lucky.
That Johnny Brocklesby one was one that you invited me to last. That was ridiculous. Brocklesby just ruined him. I was amazed that the guy even managed to hold on for as long as he did, and then to come out and actually finish him. Yeah, it was nuts. I think I was actually sat next to you at that point, and the whole place just went completely
when you
silent.
come to watch Louise fight?
Yeah, that was the one.
That was a good fight, wasn't it?
Yeah, Louise
and Joanne Doyle.
Yeah, Louise Hiller and Joanne Doyle. That was intense. It was a really, really tense fight. I think you can also chuck in Richard Mearns' head kick KO as well.
God, there's so many moments to forget. I mean, again, that was against Adam Butterworth, who obviously Craig knocked out very quick, and that was another big moment as well. I mean, we've been so lucky. We've had so many talented people come through the show. And I know we've had talented people come through the show because I watched these people go on. I've seen Aidan Lee, who was on AFC 1. He's fought for a Cage Warriors title recently. Jack Grant's on the brink of fighting for a Cage Warriors title. We've got 3 lads coming up on Bellator that have all come through my show. We've had lads on Bama, as well as regular on Cage Warriors as well. So I know we're doing something right because the guys that come through our show, if they do well on our show, they're going on to bigger things, which I want to give a platform for people so they can get onto the bigger shows. That's what it's all about.
Well, I met Dan Cassell at your first show, and now he's fighting quite regularly on Cage Warriors. So
yeah, and he runs a good show as well up in Wolverhampton. He's another good guy, another good promoter.
Great play, guys. We got a few more comments coming through on the Facebook page, Chris. Lewis Clark is asking, where do both of the lads train at? So we'll start off for you, Craig. Give us a shout out for your gym and your team.
Train out of Cowloy in Harrogate. We've got some top level guys in there. We've got like Harry Etheridge, who's just come back from Team Alpha Male, one of the most underrated bantamweights ever. We've got Glory fighters on there as well. Kieran Smith, who's just come off Glory. And then I do my jiu-jitsu at Game Fight. And I'm just training here, there, and a few other places.
So a very good team behind you then. And Warren, what about yourself?
I train at the unit. We've got some good fighters there. So, I believe like some of the records don't show how good they are. Like if you just watch any of the fights, they're tough guys. Like it's just unbelievably tough. Like I say, like the records really don't show that their potential. Like I'm not even gonna lie, we don't fight bums from there. Yeah, don't fight no cans. We're no can crushers. Yeah, and I also have just moved off of my camp up to Charles Martin's as well. That's in Doncaster. There's some really good guys, really good jiu-jitsu base. I train with Lewis as well. Like at purple belt, there's a few really good guys over there. Charlie's a black belt. So I'm just evolving that game right now.
Yeah, so both you guys from really good teams then. I mean, what does it mean to you, Warren, when you hear Ray there saying, listing the guys that's come through his shows and, gone on to sort of the big time, really? What does that give you hope and sort of what you're looking to achieve in the future?
Yeah, definitely. I hope this fight goes to plan and that he's just big. Like Ray says himself. Craig says himself. I hope it is a war. I've been wanting one of them for a long time. So.
Yeah, no, fair play. And Craig, for you as well. I mean, is it encouraging for you, obviously, with your goals in mind in future to look to push forward in MMA? Yeah,
100%. Like you said before, like Ray said as well, you've had all these guys come through. Go to Cage Warriors, go to Bama, go to Bellator. That's kind of the main goal. The UFC is the goal, but that's they're all good points to go to as well. And like Warren said, I want a war as well. Unfortunately, I couldn't perform the way I wanted to in my last fight, but this one's coming up, and I'm gonna make good timing of it and just show what I've got.
Yeah, no, fair play to both of you guys. And Chris, obviously, drawing towards the end of the show now. Any more points you wanted to make, or any more questions you want to ask to any of the guys?
Nah, I'm just very much looking forward to a really good show. As I said, I can vouch for Almighty being one of the best regional shows that are out there at the moment. It's just gone from strength to strength, and it's been a pleasure to watch these guys grow. Ray and Steve both have an absolute passion for the sport. They do things the right way. They look after their fighters, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing the result of the Mason versus Skelton fight. I think this is going to be a cracker. Yeah. So actually seeing two guys who just want to get in the cage and just beat the living crap out of each other is always entertaining for the fans. Again, I'm sure it'll be another well-matched show, another well-matched fight. So yeah, guys, make sure if you want to go and see the fight, go and support your local fighters. buy your tickets from the fighters themselves, because that helps the fighters with their camps. It helps them because every fighter gets commission from the ticket sales that they make, and it doesn't just affect the fighters for that individual fight. It affects some of their future career as well, because if they get known to be somebody who can sell tickets, the likes of Bellator still care about the tickets that you sell. The likes of Cage Warriors still care about the tickets that you sell. So buy your tickets from your fighters, buy your tickets from the people that you actually support, and help them actually generate the income that the show needs, but help them actually progress in their careers as well.
Yeah, great place.
I'll stop. I'll stop crap now.
No, so I'll take it up to the guys now before we let it go. Warren, I'll come to you first. I mean, anything you want to say to friends, family, supporters, or even to your opponent, Craig?
Well, first off, I hope Craig brings the fight like he says that he's going to do. I'm looking forward to it. I know he's got some finishes and that. I hope the best Craig turns up, to be honest. I hope the best me turns up. I'm willing to put it all online and I'd like all support off my friends and family. I haven't really had that, I haven't really had it before, and now that I'm turning pro, it's time for everyone to help out a bit. Not saying that they don't, but in just supporting me at events, a lot of people just say, on Facebook, I'll buy tickets and all that shit, but then half of the cunts don't even turn up, So I just hope everyone turns up and we make it as big as possible. Like you say, all these big promotions and that look for the ticket sellers and that. And I'd like to shout out to a few sponsors: Alpha Kitchen, Coleman Steakhouse, Excess Guard, Every Duty, S&C Kitchens and Bedrooms, The Unit, Charlie Martins, Mixed Martial Arts Academy, and I hope to see all my friends and family there, everyone that matters.
Brilliant. And where can people get you on social media as well, Warren?
You can get me on Facebook. I've got a fan page on there as well, so just hit that a like. On Warren the Tank Mason. I've got Instagram as well, so contact me on any of them. I'm always on it, talking shit, as people know.
Brilliant. Well, all the best of luck for the fight, buddy, and thanks for coming on tonight. And same to you as well, Craig. I mean, what's your parting thoughts? Anything you want to say to friends, family, or your opponent?
First of all, I'll just say exactly, I 100% agree with what Warren says. I'm surprised this fight is not the main event of the show, because it's going to be fireworks. I'm willing to go in there and put it all on the line. He's willing to put it on the line. We both don't fight bums. I just fought my first pro debut with someone who's had 5 pro fights before. I'm always up for the challenge. He's always up for the challenge. We're both game. So buy tickets and come watch us fight. It's gonna be a big fight. I'd like to just shout out to my head coach Pierre, my jiu-jitsu coach Mabsy, all the game fight lads, all the Carlisle lads. I've been training full time at the minute, training 2-3 times a day, and it's just amazing the amount of teammates and stuff I have. My sponsors as well, CB Physio, he always helps me out. There's Craig Brown, shout out to him. And just people, same again, just come get your tickets off us. We don't do it for free. Want a bit of money for a few beers afterwards. So, come and support us. It's going to be a good fight.
I don't drink, I like food.
Join the Jaffa Cake Challenge afterwards.
And Craig, where can people get you on social media as well, buddy?
Hit me up on Instagram.
Craig's,
it's just Craig Skelton on Instagram. I don't rarely have out else. Or Facebook as well. Just hit me up there. I'm always on there. Not chatting shit though, but I'm always on there.
And lastly then, Ray, we'll come to you. Can you just tell the fans what's going to go down on the event as a whole, and why should they be coming to watch Almighty 11?
We've got a stat card. We always have a stat card. At the moment, we've got around about 23 fights booked. So you're getting your money's worth. We've got 4 pro fights, again, all evenly matched fights. We've got 3 amateur title fights, and then we've got loads of up-and-coming guys that are going to be under that. We've got, like I say, the card is absolutely stacked. You can get your tickets from the fighters. I always encourage that, because they do earn a little bit of commission. And I know it's a tough sport, and for people to be able to do the best, they need to bring that money in. So I'd always encourage people to buy tickets through the fighters if they can. If you don't know the fighters, then visit our website, almightyfc.com. You can buy tickets from there. We're on Facebook, Almighty Fighting Championship. We're on Instagram, Almighty FC. So like and follow that. We're building that up as well, like everyone likes to do with their social media.
Yeah, and where can people hit you up as well, Ray?
I'm only really on Facebook, me personally, just Ray Thomson on Facebook. Anyone's welcome to add me.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. And Chris, just before we leave the floor, is there any more last takers for questions coming through on Facebook for any of the guys?
What have we got? So Liam Armstrong's asked, is it a 3-fight win streak you're on now, Warren?
No, 2.
2.
2.
Okay.
I'm gonna make it 3 though, so yeah, it's close enough.
Just a couple of quick answers. Peter Knox, yes. Lewis Clark, no, I wouldn't be. Other than that, no, I think we're good.
Brilliant. Yeah, so guys, first of all, thank you all for coming on this evening. Obviously, very much looking forward to the show now. Obviously, we've got on here Ray, Warren, and Craig. My colleague, Chris Emmanuel. Chris, where can people get you on social media, buddy?
So on Facebook, you're best off getting me at my management company, which is Battle Ready. On Twitter, it's at Chris _BRAM_. On Instagram, it's at Battle Ready. So it's Battle Ready Athlete Management. That should be about it. But thanks a lot to all the guys for coming on tonight. I've enjoyed the show. It's been nice to chat to all of you. And Ray, sorry for catching you out with the questions about yours and Steve's fights. I couldn't resist it. Steve would have put me up to it anyway. So
it's fine.
Brilliant. Well, guys, thank you for joining us. For everyone watching as well, a big thank you for watching. Obviously, this was the 6th episode of the MMA UK show. We really do appreciate your support. Obviously, to get guys like this on and them talk about their fights is always great. We are MMA UK as our handle at We Are MMA UK. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. I think you can listen to this on all platforms now, including YouTube, Periscope, and Apple Podcast. So give it a download, give it a watch, and guys, thank you very much for coming on, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. How do I leave this?
Press on the screen.
Yep.
And then you can press the hang up button.
Oh yeah, sound. See you
See you soon, Warren. Good luck with the little one.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.